Welcome to the 2K special! Today we're making Baby Yoda. I'm going to start off with the pod where Baby Yoda sits in. Don't dare to ask how to use foam coat, we already have 2 videos on that. It's the 2K special. Just coat it, gently coat it. Alright, so now the base is done. Let's add some details with EVA foam. So first I used an insulating primer. It's just a white primer that you can get in any hobby store for a base coat of the pod. Next up I mixed some silver and gunmetal FLEXI paint to give it a whiter finish than the gunmetal, and I dry brushed it on the pod to make some scratches in it. So, now that the pod is done, I'm going to pass the table to Dwarven Cosplay and he's going to make Baby Yoda.
I'll be using monster clay to do this. We've already got another video about sculpting and this will be linked in the video description down below. And we also need something for scale and I'll be using an actual baby for this. So we're using monster clay this time. It works in a similar way like normal clay, but this one is oil-based, not water-based. It also doesn't dry the same way. I use a heat gun to soften the clay up basically. And this will help with the sculpting, it'll make it a little more easy. I've got a small styrofoam ball. I'm gonna wrap it up with clay. I'm gonna move on from that, so the basic shapes. The basic anatomical features like the eyebrows, the nose, the mouth, the ears and so on. And after a while I put the eyes in, sculpt the eyelids. I also added the nose and I just started detailing a little more. And that's it for the sculpting part, but of course we can't use it as a prop and that's why we need to mold and cast it. That's also why I'm going to give the table back to the Herb Wizard.
Dwarven Cosplay did a really nice job on sculpting Baby Yoda, so now we're going to mold him. For this we have 2 component silicone and we made some boxes for the hands and for the head. We also hot glued every edge together so we don't get any leakages of silicone anywhere. It's a 1:1 ratio, so we just need to mix it together by weight and pour it slowly into the mold. I also pour on the highest point of the cast itself to avoid air bubbles. So now it's just a matter of mixing and pouring until we have about 1 centimeter above our cast. So we ran in a little problem. As you can see, we had to tape down everything because we had a little problem of Baby Yoda starting to float. The stick worked. Our mold is ready. There are no extruding parts, so we're ready to demold. We had luck with this mold because if you mold something in silicone, it can start to float. So next time I'm going to glue it down in the box before I pour silicone in. So for casting Baby Yoda, I'm going to use smooth on flex foam. I'm also going to use a little bit of acrylic paint to give it a nice color. The work time is 50 seconds after mixing, then we have an hour before we can touch it and 2 hours before it completely dries. So now that our smooth on has dried enough, we can start demolding it. Next up, painting. The technique I'm using for airbrushing is to take your acrylic paints and mix it with a little water till you have the consistency of milk. Then you can just pour it in your airbrush and spray it around. For the eyes I wanted to shine, so I used flex paint because it has a nice shine. So for the hairs I used a small layer of latex mixed with some green acrylic paint. After that I used some wool to just brush it in, and when the latex has dried I can just trim it off so we have little baby hairs sticking out of its head. Alright, now that Baby Yoda is done, we just need to clothe him, and for that we're going to Yarushi.
Now, making baby clothing is a bit more difficult, I think, because the arms are very small, so to make the patterns, we push down the doll on some paper and then we draw around it the basic patterns for any type of clothing. Just to clarify, these patterns are not made to actually wear them, they're mostly for just aesthetic, so for a doll. I only drew half of the patterns and double folded them, so cutting them would be faster, easier and more accurately. I'm also just using a normal stitch for this, so no modifying your settings on your sewing machine. Just because the doll doesn't have any feet, I'm making it like a sack of potatoes. For the collar, we're using something like a pillow technique. This means that you sew together 2 pieces of fabric with the side you eventually want outside on the inside. When they're stitched together, you, like a pillow, fold them inside out. So that's for the sewing part. Back to Herb Wizard.
Alright, now we can throw this one out because we have a Baby Yoda. Look at him, so cute. I want to thank everyone that participated, especially Yarushi and Dwarven Cosplay. Thanks for subscribing and thank you to the shop. If you want to see Baby Yoda, come find us at the Cosplayshop at any convention in Belgium. Bye!